Hi, welcome back to the Electrical Innovations web channel. I am Jordan, your host, and today we are talking about one of the biggest risks we run into in older homes, DIY electrical work. Now look, we love a good DIY project, but when it comes to electricity, small mistakes can turn into big hazards. So let's walk through the 6 most common DIY electrical mistakes we see all the time and why they're dangerous. First, backstabbed outlets might seem quick and easy, but the connection may loosen over time. Loose connections create heat, may lead to arcing, and eventually cause your outlets to stop working or even catch fire. To fix this, you should reinstall the outlets using the screw terminals. Using the screw terminals creates a solid, long-lasting connection. Next, adding devices to an already full circuit is another common DIY mistake. Each circuit has a specific limit of available electricity. If you don't know how much of a circuit is being used, adding devices may exceed that limit and draw more electricity, causing unsafe conditions. Plugging too many devices into a circuit is also a recipe for tripped breakers and overheated wiring. Kitchens, bathrooms, and home offices are the biggest offenders. If a breaker trips often, that's your system telling you that it's overloaded. Another common mistake is using the wrong wire size. Using the wrong gauge wire for a breaker size is a major fire hazard. A 20 amp breaker needs 12 gauge wire, while a 15 amp breaker only needs 14 gauge wire. Using 14 gauge wire with a 20 amp breaker can cause the wire to overheat and potentially catch fire, and this will happen long before the breaker trips. The next mistake that we see often is missing junction boxes. Splices made in walls, ceilings, or attics with no junction box can be a big problem. Every splice and connection needs to be inside a box with a cover. The splices and connections need to be both accessible and protected. Connections and splices that are buried in the wall can create a fire risk. Also, if you need to access the buried connections, it will probably involve cutting holes in walls and additional repairs. Having connections properly in a junction box protects the connection and prevents sparks from reaching insulation and other combustible materials in your house. Next is loose or incorrect grounding. Ground wires are your safety net, but we see them left loose, cut short, or not connected at all. Without proper grounding, faults can energize metal parts and create shock hazards. Last is mixing old and new wiring incorrectly. When homeowners remodel, they often tie new wiring into old circuits without updating the protection. Old wiring may not handle the load and it may not meet modern safety standards. Anytime you add new circuits, the panel and wiring need to be evaluated together. So those are the 6 most common DIY electrical mistakes we see in homes. Backstabbed outlets, overloaded circuits, wrong wire sizes, missing junction boxes, bad grounding, and mixing old and new wiring without proper upgrades. These mistakes aren't just inconvenient, they're also dangerous. If you're unsure about the wiring in your home, we can help inspect it, identify the risks, and make sure everything is safe and up to code. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next episode.